Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes, ma'am. This is for you, if that's where you're going to be sitting, perhaps.
You can sit there.
There's nobody
It doesn't
else sitting
matter.
there.
This ain't a commissioner meeting, so I don't need that seat.
Oh, okay, I don't think so. Got his name and
You
everything.
don't only count on Mondays.
Oh, yeah. No, then don't let this finish too. Yeah. Y'all got a question?
Yeah, but amongst ourselves. Wait a minute, yeah. Wait. Smell. And I know and you're right. Right. And we are. And I'm going home. And last night, I saw this man, and I wanted to hear more. And that's why we should be getting these things so we can look at them, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get it together.
they all, yeah, I can feel it. But she passes those ideas and it's wrong with things. So people have to so hard. Even though we really, it's not, no, not that itself, but with the new businesses that we had the conversation with the attorney. Right, the ones that are coming, the ones that are looking at now. Enough said.
You know what I'm saying?
You cut that off real quick, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, we on it.
One more.
Where's Chris?
She is unavailable today. Regrettably, she wishes she could be here. We're waiting for Ms. Hall, who had indicated in a telephone call today that she would be here, as did Lisa Gorman, and as did Rahim Abdullah. Mr. Abdullah, we did not speak with him directly, but we did speak with his wife, and his wife said he would be here. Stevie Archibald was unreachable. We had to leave a voicemail message for him, and Mr. Hudson is not in town. We did speak with him, however. So we should have 3 more people here. We only need 1.
That'll work.
Can I ask you a question? Who paid for, no, I'm sorry, Mark, we hadn't started yet. Was the city liable for paying the usage of the college last night? City manager Ellis?
No,
Really? Cause I didn't know that they charge per mic. I didn't know that they charge per mic and all of that.
Available today, she can make it.
Yeah.
All set.
I didn't know it until we got the bill of the event that we hosted. How you doing? Yeah. Yeah. Well, you probably see it, but probably won't have those small things, but those heavy mics. I think they were like 65. The mics that we had were $65 a piece.
I think this is all.
Yeah.
Then obviously,
I'm gonna give an overview of it. I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring a copy of it back. How you doing? Copy of it back when
Hello, everybody, good evening. It's snowing outside. If you don't have to talk, don't. I need to get out of here. Oh, it's at the master. I didn't see right down here with, Sam Hudson. How you doing? You on that board?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay, just talk right here.
Yes,
is
you're
what
right,
you-
you're right, you're right, you're right, you got me.
I got other
You
clients.
got me that time, but you're right. So I'm gonna confirm, so I hope we all do the same thing. Thank you, baby. Brownfield Redevelopment Authority will now come to order January 23rd, 2020. Roll call.
Childs,
Present.
Abdullah, absent. Archibald, absent. Kennard,
Present.
Adams,
Present.
Hudson, absent. Gorman Burton,
Present.
Edwards,
here,
Hall.
Here,
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
thank you. We have a review of the minutes of October the 23rd. We'd like a motion to approve.
I make a motion, minutes be approved with all necessary corrections.
Okay, second.
Fourth.
All right, are there any discussions, corrections, concerns?
We haven't hardly had a chance, we should have these packets early,
Right.
so we can have a time to look them over,
So do you?
so that we can make comments.
All right, so do you want a motion to table and do it next week?
No, one of the comments I'd like to, let's see, what was it that I had here? I just glanced at it. No, this sheet here, yeah.
Mhm.
This is, the Brownfield, redevelopment, for 2019.
Mhm.
This bill that was paid out to the invoice for, October's advisory services. That's for, the month of October, November, and December.
Mhm.
Okay, what services was given to, that would cause this money to be, dispersed?
What are you talking about?
This paper right here.
If I may, Ms. Kennard, that's
Oh.
not in the minutes from the
No.
last meeting. That's to be discussed today.
Right.
Yeah.
The 24th.
So I think the motion before you is the approval of the minutes from the October
October.
meeting.
Oh,
These items haven't been taken up yet.
Right.
well, that's one of the reasons why I feel that we have been, not having meetings and there's things to be taken care of. That should be done monthly. Whereas here we are, things that should have been taken care of even before we come out of, last year. Isn't that aren't these dates specifying those months from last year?
Yeah.
And so that's one of my concerns about us having regular meetings, because business should be taken care of for the city on a timely basis.
I agree,
That way we keep up with.
I agree. So call your board members and make sure that they come out, so we'll have a quorum every month.
And we won't know whether we got a quorum unless we have a meeting.
No, you know if you have a quorum, 'cause they'll let you know if they can make it or not. See, if they call you before the meeting, they'll let you know if they can make it. they say I can't be here on the 4th.
How many absences can you have before?
I think it's
Three.
3,
Well, unexcused 3, yes,
4 unexcused.
Is that consecutive or period?
period.
Or unexcused.
3 unexcused.
Because there shouldn't be any excuse for someone if they can't be here, move out of the way, and let somebody else take those seats.
Absolutely, I agree.
Madam Chair, if I may, we, at your October meeting, the decision was, of this consensus was rather, of this group not to meet during the month of November because your meeting would have fallen right at basically at Thanksgiving. Now, we didn't have any agenda items come the month of December either. We didn't have anything other than perhaps to pay bills. But that in and of itself historically hasn't been a reason for this authority getting together. That's not to say we couldn't, I'm just saying that in the past, that's been the case. I did go back at the request of Ms. Adams, who expressed concerns for why we hadn't had a meeting in November or December. And I looked back at history, and we haven't had a meeting in November or December since, I think it was 2000 and, what did I tell you, 14, something like that. So it's been pretty typical that things get very slow in this time of the year, and we aren't presented with very many agenda items. I'm just trying to put it in context, that's all.
Yeah.
Also, in the board, it was voted on by the board that we would not have those meetings.
Well, the November meeting
In
was,
November.
Just the November
In
meeting.
November.
Mhm.
The board voted on that,
Okay,
not that.
well, I don't remember.
No, you wasn't here when the board.
That was
voted.
before for me coming on.
That's before.
Okay, because see, when you work on these boards, we get so much sometimes disturbed because we don't have our things lined up and do things right. And so have your I's dotted and your T's crossed, and that way you don't have that problem to deal with later.
So we got a motion on the floor for the minutes and, any other discussions, corrections?
None other than our cell phone should be off. Take care of
Well, I got a mother about to die, so I ain't gonna
I'm
go.
sorry, I'm sorry.
And the daughter with cancer.
And Emma, it's one other issue that I guess that's in here, but we'll get to that when the time comes.
Or is it on
In
the
here.
agenda?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we still got a motion on the floor, for the minutes, October the 23rd.
Do we have a
That's the
meeting?
one we just did?
No, we need a motion to approve the minutes for October 20.
We've
Yes,
already
we had a
have-
meeting
the motion
October
was-
23rd.
Yeah, I thought I made a motion.
Oh, yeah, that was the
On
meeting, yes,
October
yes, 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 yes. Motion to approve.
Didn't I make the motion?
Yes, this
Sure,
is,
you
yes,
did.
so any other
Support.
questions, any concerns, discussions? Hearing not, now we need a roll call.
Abdullah, I'm sorry, Kennard,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Gorman Burton, Edwards, Paul,
Yes,
Childs,
Yes.
motion passes.
thank you. Communications, Frank Moran.
Madam Chair, at the last meeting, I mentioned, and it was included in your packet as I recall, we received a annual contract letter from Plant Moran. Plant Moran is the entity that handles your accounting.
Mhm.
We've outsourced, as some members know, we've outsourced the accounting services for 10 plus years now. Plant Moran has been the accountant for, I believe, all of that period of time. They routinely provide a letter each year for the past several years that identifies the services they're going to provide and the costs that they're going to provide it for. I reviewed this letter, and you have a copy of it in your packets again today. And at the bottom of the first page, you'll see the important part, and that is $450 per month. That is the same amount that they've been charging for the past 3 years. I didn't see anything different in this agreement than I've seen in previous ones. So with your approval, or with your will, we can renew this agreement with Plant Moran.
Well,
We
It's your
need a
choice.
motion. Okay.
we need a motion to open it up for discussion.
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay, now discussion.
I'm not sure what board member it was, but some time ago, the question was brought up that was it a conflict of interest for uh, the authority being the arm of the city and Plant Moran taking care of the city's finances, why would they be charging us? And that was a perfect opportunity to open a job up for somebody else in the community that has the experience in doing something like this. And I would still like to see that happen. Because I do feel like it's a conflict of interest. We pay them a lot of money for such little work that they do for the authority. And not only that, it looked like somewhere in times past that I saw them for some of the months that we didn't even have a meeting, that there were charges.
Right.
I have all of those old documentations, I have to pull them up, but I just think that this is a perfect opportunity for us to put out a small job search for someone that may be a city resident that has the ability to do this type of accounting work or minutes, what have you. And I'm going to explain another reason why, but I have to wait until we get the finances for that, because upon speaking with the finance director and looking at what's deposited now, it doesn't look like the amount that was released for summer taxes. I was actually looking to see some figures that was like up to almost $1 million, but not quite, but close. And looks a little off.
I'm glad you brought that up. City manager, the finance director, is she, or he, who is it? Do you have a finance director?
RFP is going out.
Oh, you don't have a finance director?
No.
We do it, we have a contract finance.
Contract finance.
Yes,
So,
I'm trying.
you want to explain that's why we had to get Plant Moran, because with the city's finance director, we'd love to have the city to do it, maybe we'd have to farm it
I mean,
out.
but they're
That's for
employed.
She is with.
That's for
Plant
50
Moran,
that
too.
we could save, but,
She's
We
She
want-
is with Plant Moran.
yeah, okay, but still. What we're saying
That
is
looks like
that
a
we
contract,
wasn't
yeah.
getting our calculations from the finance department here,
Exactly.
so us to operate.
It's built
So now,
That is,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, that was the reason that this board originally decided
absolutely,
to outsource these services. Before that time, they utilized the city.
absolutely.
And actually, Mr. Manager, before that time, the city actually established a budget and was paid by this authority for those services. And that is something that we can go back to if capacity exists.
How long ago was this?
10 plus years.
You wanna look into it?
I will, and I'll talk with the finance director and find out also.
And if it can come to us in a timely manner so that we can operate, because we have bills to pay too, and we wasn't getting money to pay our bills. She was here when that was happening.
All I know is we paying Plant Moran over $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
And they are hired of the city. I mean, the city is. And, I mean, to me, it's just like double dipping, period. Period.
Well, one thing you have to say.
I mean, they have to collect the money anyway.
But
I mean,
we
if
are
somebody
an
else-
arm of the city, but I think we are autonomy now.
Yes, you are.
We are an arm of the city.
Then let's do job search and put it out in
We
the
are arm of
community.
the city. We're arm of the city. But we are autonomy. We have our own rules, our own regulations, and things we can and cannot do.
Exactly.
So it would not be a contradiction, nor would it be double dipping, because we are not up under the hospital.
Exactly. And we have the authority to put out a job search,
Absolutely, we have a joy.
then we should make a motion.
Okay. Right now,
We already.
right now, yeah. We're
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about
so-
the, we've got a motion on the floor for the finance.
Right, that's my question.
Okay.
So in this contract, we're talking about June though. So we have time to vet this, whatever.
That is correct.
We can take-
Plant Moran has continued to provide these services
Yes.
even in the absence of a contract. But your year, and Ms. Kennard, this is important to your earlier comment, your year ends on June 30th. It doesn't end with the calendar year, it ends on
Right.
June 30th.
Right.
Right.
So
Okay,
Well, I make a motion to table this item.
no, we have a
Upon-
motion on the floor right now.
Right.
Plant Moran to renew the services agreement.
No.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, one question.
Okay.
So with
We can
this,
vote on
either
it.
way, we still can't do anything really. I mean, if we don't approve it now, there's still nothing to do until
It's on the
June
contract,
30th,
that's
correct?
That is
That
correct.
Gotcha.
Is that by contract, we won't,
right.
can't do anything because the contract don't end until June.
June 30th.
What,
Right.
let me
Okay.
take a step back and make
Right.
sure you understand. This
Mhm.
contract, this letter,
Mhm.
runs from July 1st, 2019 to
Mhm.
June 30th, 2020.
Exactly.
They've been providing you these services even in the absence of you having signed this,
Mhm.
okay? I would guess that they'll continue to do that too. I think they'd like to have the paperwork in place though that formally allows for that.
Right.
If you want to spend the time between now and June 30th to look for another source or
Mhm.
other sources,
Mhm.
you can do that.
Okay.
And you can do that whether or not you approve this contract or not.
Okay.
Frankly, however, I think that you probably ought to be executing this contract, given the services that they've already provided and will continue to provide for at least the next couple of months until you find someone else.
Right.
Okay. But this,
With the understanding that
That
you're not
makes
gonna
sense.
renew after that.
Right.
that makes sense. And this is just until June.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine.
So we would be looking
We
for
need
someone
to
from
get,
July
we
1,
need
2020
to get
to
approval
June
from the chair.
2021.
Correct.
Okay.
We need to get approval from the chair before we just speak out.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right. Yes. Motion on the floor
Mhm. Roll
to
call.
approve this, communication plant grant. Any other questions, concerns? Hearing none, roll call.
Edwards,
Yes?
Gorman Burton,
Yes.
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Childs,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you. USEPA Brownfield Security Grant
This is a-
application.
Madam Chair, the coalition, this is something we talked about at the October meeting. At that particular time, Berrien County was planning to move forward with an application for $600,000 for EPA Brownfield assessment work. That could be done anywhere within Berrien County. The particular application was submitted as a coalition of local units of government, with the understanding that if Berrien County were successful in obtaining those funds would be expended in those coalition member communities. City of Benton Harbor is a coalition member. And Mr. Mitchell authored a letter supported by City Commission, as I recall, that allowed for the inclusion of the City of Benton Harbor as a coalition member, along with Three Oaks, Bridgman, I believe it was Lake Charter Township, and Benton Township, and a couple of other communities.
We voted on it?
That may have been an FYI situation only,
Okay.
but it did not obligate the city to anything. It doesn't obligate you to any funding or match funding or anything along those lines. It just said that you agree to be there,
Yeah.
put your name on it. And so your name was put on that application, and it went out, and I gotta tell you, I think it is an exceptional grant application. I don't wanna jinx it, but I am optimistic that it may get funded. And we'll know about that within the next 2 months. If it is funded, then you're a participant in that $600,000. And you will have a seat at the table with Berrien County in deciding how those funds will be expended, as will the other coalition members. So it's a pretty interesting thing. That grant went in on December 3rd.
How many names is on it?
The names, other than the city of
How
Benton
many?
Harbor, I believe that there were 6: Benton Township, Lake Charter Township, City of Bridgman, I believe it was Three Oaks, City of Benton Harbor, and last one escapes me, but it was down in the Union Pier type area. It wasn't New Buffalo, it might have been New Buffalo Township.
Okay, sounds good.
St. Joe is not a participant.
Okay.
That was just for informational. I wanted you to know where that went.
All right, thank you. Okay, this,
Question.
Mhm.
Through the chair. What will this money allow to be done, Mark? And are there specific projects or areas that are already pinpointed? Or,
The grant will allow for the assessment of sites that are suspected of being contaminated or known to be contaminated. It doesn't allow for the cleanup of those sites, but it allows those sites to be assessed, to determine just how
Wow.
bad they might be.
so
Next
that's who's going to be paid, those that do the assessment?
Those who do the assessment.
Like that group from Saginaw with the other
Like you
grant?
did that
But they
several
did
years
a
ago.
removal.
Pardon me?
They did some removal, didn't they?
No. The way these grants work is the first step is to find out how bad this stuff is. Then you apply for another grant that
Okay,
allows for the
okay.
cleanup.
Yeah,
And those cleanup grants are available either through the EPA or
Okay.
through the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy.
Gotcha. Okay.
Question. So does that have anything to do like with Oxford Creek?
Mhm.
They were trying to
Yeah.
assess.
Yeah.
It's been contaminated.
Yeah.
For a long
Do you want me to
time.
keep jumping in?
yeah.
I don't
Go
want to.
ahead, go ahead.
It could.
It could.
The focal points for this grant within the city of Benton Harbor will be waterfront areas, which would include the creek, would also include the ship canal, would include anything along the river. And/or areas that have a renewable energy
Mhm.
opportunity,
Okay,
whether that could involve solar or whether that could involve wind or something else.
okay.
Ms. Burton, are you finished?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Uh,
Okay, Commissioner,
Yes, through the chair, just a confirmation. I talked to, I believe his name is Christopher, down in Barron County for the assessment. And he did, relay to me that the creek was involved in that if the grant came up. And this was maybe, this is what, January? So this had to happen maybe October, November when he told me. But I believe his name is Christopher. And I seen him down at Barron County, the administration building. And yes, Ox Creek is involved in that.
okay, great.
So,
Okay, Commissioner Edwards, are you finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
so what I'd like to ask, from what he says that he got this information, is that one assurance? Because Ox Creek has been contaminated for many years. And I know that it contaminated land. That's why Brownfield goes in this direction. So I want to know, can we check for sure that Ox Creek will be one of those?
Have to be a consensus.
Well, first off,
Yeah.
we're starting to count our
Right.
chickens before the
Right,
eggs are
right.
Yeah.
hatched. We haven't even gotten the money yet.
Absolutely.
Right.
But what I mentioned, Ms. Kennard, is that if the grant is awarded the county, there is going to be a group, an advisory
Mhm.
committee that is formed that will decide how those
Right.
funds are expended. And the city will be one of the seats at that table. So you will have the ability to influence the decision as to where those monies are expended and how.
So in the past, there's been no influence to get this cleaned up because it's been quite a lot of years that it's been labeled as contaminated.
Right.
So by our children playing at the park and children playing near streams of water, we'd like to see something like that addressed.
I understand?
What usually when we have grants like that, and check me if I'm wrong, through the city, we are work with the city. What they feel that is best, that needs to be done, we will probably put something together, if it's our creek, the canal, whatever benefits the city, because we work totally with the city, which is what project they think is best. The point that we have now is that we got a seat at the table.
Correct.
And so we can put something together for what the city might say that we might need to work with, or we might decide, as this board might decide what we want to see, that's what's best that we might do. But the main thing right now, we got a seat at the table, right?
Okay,
That is
good.
correct, and
Okay.
I want to be clear,
Yeah.
the seat at the table is for the city of Benton Harbor.
Yes.
It's not necessarily for any one of you at this
Yeah.
table.
Exactly.
Yeah, but for the city
Frankly, it
manager,
will probably
For the
be a
city.
decision of the city
City.
manager vis-à-vis
be
the,
for the board.
correct.
30 seconds, just a 30-second of history, because we had the table.
Yes.
We had built the table, and that happened when this board was reformed. And we had control of some dollars that came in here. Ox Creek just wasn't chosen. The Fisherman Park was. Just for a bit of history for those that don't know. Okay.
Whatever the city decides, well, that's good.
history
Thank
for
you.
me.
Any other concerns about that? Committee reports,
No reports, Madam Chair.
treasury report,
Financial reports from Plant Moran, you have those in your packet. I took the liberty of tagging because I didn't have page numbers on your
Right.
packets. I tagged the report that I would like you to refer to. It is the balance sheet as of December 31st, which was the end of last month. Call your attention to the cash on hand, current assets. Ms. Adams, we don't have $1 million, but we're getting close.
I know, we'll never get there though if we keep doing what we did with that 130.
You
But
got,
we got a whole bunch of folks that want us to make some contributions
you'll
up in
see,
the inner city too.
you'll see in that upper right-hand portion there that you have two major accounts, one that is a standard checking account, and one that is what we call your revolving remediation fund. The sum of those two accounts, with the token amount that we're holding in a third, is a little over $735,000. You're in a very healthy position. You're in a very healthy position as compared to any other Brownfield Redevelopment Authority that I'm involved with here in the state of Michigan. And I can tell you from a comparative standpoint, you're very healthy in comparison to Berrien County's Brownfield Redevelopment Authority itself. It does not have that kind of cash on hand that isn't already committed somewhere else like Harbor Shores.
Okay.
Okay?
Question
yes.
to the chair. When it comes to that and us putting ourselves on better footing and doing something for the community, the inner city preferably, I've had some people address me and ask me, was there anything that this authority could possibly do? I'll take the old Lincoln building for one. We have a young lady that's working with young families and children that are raising children and teaching them abstinence and all that and how to be better young parents and trying to keep these youth together as a unit, raising their children, as well as some of the homeless youth throughout the community that want to go to school, stay in school, but sleeping on somebody else's couch. The Lincoln building is what this young man approached me about and asked me, was there something that we could do with this 12-unit apartment building to actually, and when he said it, I just got this vision of what could possibly be done for both.
Again, we're in a very narrow.
Okay,
lane
but
as to how
I mean,
you can
if
spend money.
contaminants,
However, in that instance, if you had lead paint, if
mhm,
you had asbestos,
mhm,
if you had concerns with lead pipes,
mhm,
things of that sort,
Mhm.
those would all be eligible
okay,
activities that
Activities,
you could
exactly.
undertake or that you could reimburse.
exactly,
Demolition is as well,
exactly,
as is
Okay.
getting infrastructure
Okay.
up to that
Okay.
building.
good deal, good deal.
Did the owner make an application?
No, he will. I'm asking questions for him. I'm gonna lead him. That's my job as an elected
Oh,
official.
Okay, good.
Madam Chair and committee members, if I could get you to turn to the next page, which is your income statement. It shows your income and expenses for the 6-month period. This is a 6-month period. Again, it started on July 1st, and runs through December 31st. And again, drawing your attention to the right-hand column, you'll see that you've had property tax revenue of about $229,000. You've had expenditures of about $13,500 roughly for professional services. Those would be your advisory services, your consulting services, Plant Moran services as well. And then you'll see how those funds were, the tax income and revenues were dispersed. And that is pursuant to your last meeting back in October. You authorized those disbursements. And you'll see your total net income, i.e. in the private sector, they call that profit, down at the bottom right. Year-to-date of $90,689.37. Again, you're in a very healthy situation.
Quick question. How much money is sitting and waiting for the city of Benton Harbor in regards to the Fidelity building?
None.
None?
None.
It's still on here?
No, Fidelity building, that's a disbursement. That's what was paid out back in October.
Okay.
But you're right, we were at one time sitting on a
Okay,
bunch of money, but that was
okay.
released quite some time
Okay.
ago. Now we're current, we're paying
Okay.
every season. We are still sitting on money though for a project called Market Street Development. And that one, the city is yet to come up with any documentation, nor has Cornerstone Alliance.
How much is being held for it?
We've got over $100,000.
Okay.
And that's some of what's sitting in that checking account that you saw in the previous page, 300 and some odd thousand.
Yeah.
They get real excited about it because a third of that is earmarked, it's being held.
Next question through the chair.
Ah.
Was our city manager aware of that? I'm glad you're here.
Just a moment. We have the financial report. We need to get a motion on the floor. We need a
Motion to
motion.
approve.
Need a second?
Second,
Now, you have another question?
Okay.
Commissioner?
I have one.
You have another question? All right, he's going to take it. Go ahead.
Yes, on that, Market Street project, do we know how long that is, how much space or property it takes up?
Yes, we know exactly what properties are involved in it. And very, very generically, I can tell you, it's that entire residential development down there. Everywhere where you see a house and every lot that you don't see a house on that Market Street corridor is in this plan.
Gotcha.
Say that again.
All of the residential homes that are down on that Market Street, I call Market
Just a
Street.
moment.
I'm
She
sorry.
did not get the floor.
I'm sorry.
Are you finished?
No, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
So those new houses, well, not new to me, they were when I got here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's with the middle medium, right? That's what we're talking about.
Mhm.
So now across that, there's some businesses. I don't know if they're still operational, but some buildings are there. So that is included in that plan?
No.
Just the empty lots?
Yes.
Gotcha. I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Now,
Okay, so
Commissioner,
that, the Market Street. Is that pertaining to the harbor, those taxes? Because the land is Cornerstone's and the housing is our NSP dollars.
The short answer is yes. Harbor Town, Market Street, it has
Okay,
both names.
I'm trying to figure out how the city of Benton Harbor, how we ended up with monies just sitting and waiting for Benton Harbor to come up with receipts.
and go see your city manager.
I'm glad he's here so he can
The way
listen
that,
and
the
hear
way
this.
that happened, if I may, is when that project was being conceived,
Mhm,
we had a Renaissance zone available.
Mhm.
Remember that?
mhm.
So we placed it in a Renaissance zone, which made it a tax-free zone for like 10 years. Knowing that there was gonna be a lot of development, people were gonna buy some of those and build houses, we also put it in a brownfield plan because it was a contaminated site.
Okay,
Knowing that when they started paying taxes 10 years later,
okay,
you could capture it. And you could use those tax dollars to help reimburse the city
okay.
and or Cornerstone
Mhm.
for the eligible expenses that they had to build that development, putting in the infrastructure,
Okay,
because infrastructure is an eligible expense.
okay.
We haven't been able to get receipts from the city or Cornerstone, and this isn't a criticism of Mr.
No,
Mitchell
no,
at all.
no,
It
no,
just-
no, not
This
at all.
goes way beyond him.
Yes,
We haven't been able to get any documentation of receipts,
Mm.
which we have to have in order to release funds.
okay, so something about this just doesn't seem right, but city manager, the other one, managed to get with somebody, ex-representative Pashoka and somebody in, Lansing and was able to pull that off and come up with something to where they was able to draw that other money that was being held for the Fidelity building. So in this instance, we have Governor Whittemere now, so our city manager has a little bit to work to do. And maybe he can do exactly what the other one managed to do with the approval of state governor. By getting those funds released, because we were under state of emergency. And I don't know how it's being waited for us to come up with receipts over something that the city or elected officials, we didn't even really have a city manager because he was the president, the sheriff, and everybody else.
Okay,
I will, after this meeting, I will
Okay.
reach out to Mr.
yes, to hear.
Thank you.
Mitchell to see what we might be able to
Okay.
come up with
Yes,
Okay.
or reach a solution.
Okay. I keep up with too much stuff.
is that finished? Are you finished, Commissioner?
Yes, sir, yes.
So this is off the beaten path because I just don't know the answer, but I'm thinking about the hotel that's for sale on the riverfront. Is that Brownsfield or no?
Right now, we got a motion on the floor for the financial report. Anything else on the finance
So we
report?
can say,
Yeah,
I still want to know.
well, we get to that. Any other questions on the finance report? Here none. Roll call.
Gorman Burton,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Childs,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Hall.
Yes,
Motion passes.
okay, payables.
All right. Madam Chair, members, you have a payables listing that I handed out to you separately because there was an error on the one that is included within your packet. It lists 3 invoices for advisory services during the months of October, November, and December. Those are the only items we have in your payables listing at this time.
Need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion second now. Are there any questions concerning this payable list? For October, November, and December?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay,
Whether we meet or not, these people are paid anyway,
they work.
even though there's nothing for them to work on if they finished the month prior to that. And
Explain to her.
Sure.
We have,
Um,
what type of work we do.
Be happy to. We provide, with our invoices at least, we provide detail. If you go into your packet and look at those invoices, you will see comments, for example, on the last invoice for $507. You'll see references to things like letter of support for city manager for the Brownfield, Berrien County Brownfield EPA grant. You say, communications with finance director regarding failure to capture tax revenues on the Prairie site, which is located.
that's exactly what page?
I don't have a page number, but it would be,
Okay,
it's the
it's 24.
last page of the last invoice. My point is, we try to provide you with the detail that shows what happens during the month, even though you may not meet.
Absolutely, and also, Commissioner Kennard, we have people that meet, this board is set up to steer development. And when we clean up contamination in land, and we hope that developers come looking for that land so they can build on it. And if they build on that land, and hopefully they can provide opportunities for people in this town. So they have to call them for applications, they have to make applications, they have to fill out forms. If some developer comes and wants to make an application to, just like she was talking about, Commissioner Adams was talking about, if you come, you have to, for the Lincoln building up there, somebody's got to come, if they want to get get some, what you call that, when you give them some perks on it. Or they have to make a they have to make an application, they got to file the application, he has to bring the application to the board, we got to okay it, so they can get the investments out, how much investments they're gonna put in. So they're constantly working to spur the development, to get developers in here. That's what this brownfield is for. To
So
reach
in
out.
other words, Brownfield just cleans up the contaminated.
We clean up the contamination and hope to get developers to come and build on the site.
Okay, so that's just to build on the, clean up the contaminated land.
Or to develop the site,
The
whatever.
development.
Let him finish it.
Our goal is, our mission, your mission is to facilitate economic development and job creation
Yeah.
through the cleanup, the assessment, cleanup, and repurposing of contaminated properties. That's your goal. It's all about taxable investment, job creation, and cleanup
Job creation for who?
for the citizens of Benton Harbor.
What?
And anyone.
The developer,
Well,
just a moment. She has the floor. Go ahead.
So I guess this isn't part of what I see over here at one time, probably before I came. You all have, by contract, gave $130,000 to have a building demolished. So if it's to clean up contaminated land, that was for the building to be taken down. I didn't see the contract, but I just have gotten the information, and as you said, clean up contaminated land.
Does she have a pack of what Brownfield is about, Act Creative One?
I don't believe so.
Well, she needs to get that. And then when she reads that, she knows what all,
I'll make
what's all
sure
in
they
the
have it.
pack that Brownfield has. It's just like your city manager. You don't see what he do every day, but he's still getting paid. But he's working.
I understand that
Yeah,
part.
he's working. He's working every day. He's looking over papers, filling out forms.
Mhm.
But it may not be all on, when he brings those things to the thing on Monday night, he got items.
I
But you don't
understand
see
that part.
that he's done that, so.
But I just want to know by contract,
Mhm.
because if we make a contract with anyone, they make sure that Benton Harbor follow that
Oh, yeah.
contract
Yeah.
to the
His
T.
teeth.
And so I want to know by contract, if this was altered and decided to keep the building, why shouldn't it have been brought back
Oh, wait, this is
and
another.
redid?
Okay, but
So this is
another
what I'm
item
asking
she's
about.
talking right?
Mhm.
Yes,
It's
we
in
actually
here.
discussed it at length at the last meeting.
We discussed that at the last meeting.
The
So
last
right
two.
now,
It was no clarity.
okay, but what we got on the floor now, payables. Do you
Okay.
agree to these payables or not? Because we discussed it now. If you want him to bring it back next month, and so we can discuss it again, you put it on the agenda. If you want that brought back. Or either you can go to his office and call him and ask him to explain all that to you.
When it's explained, I'd like more than my ear to hear it.
Okay.
So that when we're asked about it,
All right.
then we
you
have
want
an
him- You want him
understanding.
to put it on the agenda for next month?
Yes, please.
Okay, put it on.
I wish it could have been on this week's. But we don't
All
need
you
it.
have to do if you want something on the agenda, call me. And I'll call them and see if we can get it on the agenda to discuss it.
Madam Chair, and that,
Just a moment. You
Okay.
finished?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I feel the same way about that hotel. I mean, being new, I'm just trying to get caught up to speed with like you're doing.
Mhm.
So I just want to know, like I said, if this is not the time, if there's a question session that we can have to bring the new
Okay,
members up to speed,
next month.
then let's do that.
And then we'd ask that the city manager be here too, because what his thoughts on that and how, what the city thinks about what they're doing, because it's through the city. All right.
and I guess for clarity through the chair,
Yes,
clarification,
Will you finish, Miss?
Thank
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
clarification as to, protocol of how to put things or get things on the agenda. Is that the chair's solely responsibility, nobody else?
You
Is
can
that in
call
our,
them.
is that in our bylaws?
But the agenda belongs to the chair, so,
The agenda belongs to the chair,
yeah,
okay, and when are we up for reappointments?
anytime you wanna do it. When
Okay.
time gets up.
They would be a good one.
Yeah, anytime, any day, any hour.
They would be a good one when it comes to old business.
Anytime, get the vote.
Does it have to be on the agenda?
No, just go, it's come through the mayor, via through the mayor appointment.
Mhm.
No, we run this.
No,
We appoint
no,
our, okay,
mayor
we're gonna take care of that one too, I
take
promise you.
care of it, please,
We're gonna take care of it.
do what you got to do
We
every
will.
time.
We
Now,
will.
and I work with the staff to put it on the agenda. once you call, and you can call them, and they'll call me, and and they'll tell me what's on the agenda. That's how we
Enough is
work
enough.
together. That's how we've been working together. So if anybody wants to come, break it up, break it down, do what you got to do.
We will.
That's okay. Now, we got that cleared up. Now, we still got a motion on the floor. Any other questions on payrolls? Hearing none, roll call.
Hall,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes,
Gorman Burton, Adams,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Childs.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, and we have just, the budget, a summary of 2019-20.
Yes, Madam Chair and authority members, included within your packet, and I believe it is, it's about the third page from the back. It looks like this. It's not in color. It looks like that. I don't think yours is in color. Perhaps it is.
blue,
Okay.
green, and yellow.
Well, because Mr. Hudson in the past has asked for, and
Yeah.
very, very appropriately asked for a status of expenditures and revenues to budget during every meeting. We presented this to you. This is a 6-month period of time. The numbers on the right-hand side match up with what you just saw in your income statement from Plant Moran. So when you look at this, you'll see that we're in a pretty good position, given we're 6 months into the year with respect to your revenues, the green colored box in the top right. We got 229,000 out of a projected 266 for an entire 12-month period. The reason that we're a little short right now is because we still haven't captured the winter tax cycle yet. When we get that, we should be right on the money. Moving down to the next green box, second one down on the right-hand side, you got $13,465 year-to-date in expenses associated with consulting, financial, legal, etc. From your budget, you should have more than that. You're actually running about 30% below budget for a 6-month period. For the 6-month period, you should be about $19,450 is where you should be on your expenses, but you're actually significantly under that. That's good news. The next box down, third one on the right-hand side, 119,930 tax increment reimbursement. That number is exactly what you approved at your last meeting, and it's exactly what appears in your financial statements. The $5,000 beneath that was for the disbursement that you authorized for the My Brother's Keeper educational outreach engagement activity, which I believe Ms. Adams is going to report on a little bit later. And that brings you to a net income of $90,689, which again is exactly what you see in your Plant Moran report. So on a 6-month basis, you're doing very good budget-wise in terms of expenses and revenues.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on that? Oh. Okay.
Thank you, through the chair. I guess what I was talking about during our last conversation about putting something in a budget as a separate line item, didn't exclude what the Brownfield, what was it? Donated for the cause of the summit that took place. I was talking about something overall for the year, for other events that may not cost this much. And you'll find out what the actual cost was shortly when we get to that point. But we are trying to, something to the effect of what Ms. Kennard was asking, was do something to spark the youth in this community's attention in an educational form of getting more involved in something in the environmental line of work or career. And it's larger than just here at the Brownfield. We're working on it through the city government as well. Trying to get them to be the young engineers of the future, dealing with the contaminants and how it's removed. Just overall, what you do. in your field of work as an environmental consultant. Whatever we can do, whatever the Brownfield funds allows, not only with what we've done with what's coming up next, I guess, with the scholarship, but aside of that, it's so hard to get our children together and being undereducated about, you know, the whole overall thing of what is a brownfield. I mean, you should have saw these youngsters at the table when I was explaining to them the everyday usage of some things and factories and how we leave things behind. And I gained a thirst, and I knew I would, and I couldn't believe how wonderful I did, if I must say. Is exactly what we need. See, the people in this community, they're thinking when you say job creation, they don't understand that when we okayed and went in with the county of the $500 million development, that it was going to build a hotel that created some jobs. That was job creation. The golf course itself, those young men that pick those caddies up for the golfers, they get paid good money and tippers and gain a friend. Those are jobs that's been created where there were none. We had Bosch closed down. We had Whirlpool factory closed down. We needed to do something to keep as many youth as possible and as many families in this community fed. Those were jobs that were created. But now I'd like for us to do what we can to actually do some training, which is where Manchester Bidwell came in. And as far as our budget is concerned, where is that money for the trip? Which line item is that?
It's under seminars and meetings,
Okay, good deal.
and you also have it under seminars and travel. It's in 2 places.
Okay, so can we get a consensus of who wants to go from this board
Go where?
out to Manchester Bidwell? When we get to old business, or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got this,
yeah,
it's just, comments on.
but you got me, you answered my questions, thank you, through the chair.
Okay.
But, I'm sorry, if I may, I don't think I got an answer about a line item for something every year moving forward. Something in the form of,
He can't give you an answer for that.
why not?
The board has to vote on that.
Okay, well then that's what we need to do. That's what we were going to do the next time we met, that I was really looking forward to, because I think, in my opinion, that that's the way that this board can actually give back to the community, especially our youth, when it comes to job training. And that's putting $50,000 a year aside that we will vote on what it goes for, and making sure and ensuring that it's for job training and education.
Act 381.
Right.
Right.
Act 381. We can expend funds for educational purposes as long as they are absolutely
And exactly,
aligned
there you
with
go, there you
environmental
go.
cleanup.
It has to come through here first. So as long as it's there, there you go.
What did you
Totally
say?
naive.
As long as it's aligned with
Yep.
the
Yep.
activities allowable under the
Yep.
statute.
Excuse me.
Thank
All
you.
right, did you have a go? Okay. Ms. Kennard?
Yes, one of the things as she was speaking, one of the things that I work in the horticultural area, know that there are many plants that help to clean up land. And that is one of my ambitions, is to teach our students how to propagate new plants and to study for the plants that help to clean up areas. And that would be a great tool for them to, the greenhouse that we're planning on putting up, to get them started and having studies such as that would help clean up areas. Just to follow up with what you're speaking about training.
You
How
are,
you-
you are touching on a hot button for me as well. That's called phytotechnology. And we apply that technology to help clean sites up all across the country. And we have some very major cleanup projects using those technologies here in Michigan, from over in Detroit
There you go.
to Flint to Grand Traverse County. We haven't done it here, but it is very topical these days.
Yes, through the USDA, I
Yes.
had conversation with them.
How does that work?
Well, as Ms. Kennard suggested, plants have the ability to uptake contaminants, take them out of the groundwater or out of the soil into their leaf structure. And I'm going to be very, very rudimentary on this. They also have the ability to sequester or hold contaminants so that they can't go anywhere else. They can transpire and break the contaminants down. They serve a lot of different purposes. They can be put in poplar trees. You know, we've got all of them around here. It's the
We
stuff
sure
we have the
do.
cotton that comes off in the summer. They extract a tremendous amount of water. Each tree does, or each willow tree,
Okay.
to the tune of hundreds of gallons. So
Now, do you have a site like that, and if she's able to do that, how would she know to be able to put her plants involved and pay for that? How would she know that when you have sites available like that?
I think what she's suggesting is the
That to teach them
education
skill.
of the children of this technology, and perhaps somebody
Introduce
younger than
them
the
to it.
two of us is gonna glom onto this and
Training,
think it's the
training.
greatest thing, and it's gonna be a career builder.
Yeah, training. Is there
All of
money
it.
for the training in there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, that sounds good. Okay, great. Anything else? Yeah, this is our old business. Okay.
Yes, I remember the last meeting we were at, and it was up for the transfer of bank from Fifth Third to,
Is that
Yeah.
old business?
Chemical.
Is this
Sure was.
old business
And I
right here?
did-
No, no, is this old business?
Wait,
yeah,
we
this
went
is
to,
old
should have been in
business.
there,
I
that's been
did,
in there
We went
for
over
some
Excuse
time.
Just a moment.
so I did ask for a request for it to be done at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
I asked for it to be on the agenda to revisit that
Yes.
at our first meeting of the year.
And that was not on the agenda. We didn't put it on the agenda. We didn't get it.
Can we put it on the next one?
We did reference it in the minutes. It said, following the resolution, the authority discussed interest in moving to a Benton Harbor bank.
Right.
So that
In
is
the
on our
minutes.
to-do list in the
Okay.
minutes.
In the minutes, but,
Madam Chair.
so,
Are we allowed to, so I can
And
make
that
a
was-
motion on that?
Okay, but what are you doing?
no, he's gotta put a motion.
What
We
happened?
already took care of the minutes.
What happened?
Just a moment, he's got the floor. We already took care of the minutes.
Right.
What you want to do now?
Wanted to revisit that conversation we had so that we can move on it and vote on it.
Okay, you want on the next meeting?
Now,
Well, unless we can do it now. He said it was ended in it.
now,
May I make a
Just a moment.
suggestion?
Just a moment, you want it done now?
Yes,
Okay, let us finish. Are we finished with this?
No.
He's bringing up another subject right now. Just, are we finished with this? It's what he was talking about, the scholarship. Are we got through questioning
we
about
ain't
this?
got there yet.
Yes, we have.
yeah, we've been on
We've
that.
been
No,
on
we were on the budget.
No,
I was waiting to make an amendment to the budget.
We were on the budget.
oh, I'm sorry.
I thought, I know I'm just 60, finna be
Oh, okay.
61.
All right, well, just a moment. I'm sorry about that. I thought we was on this, business. All right, amendment to the budget, what you want to do?
I wanna, make a motion that we put, 50,000 in a line item for youth education every year moving forward of the tax dollars that are captured.
Need a second? Need a second?
Second.
It's been motion and second. Any questions, discussions, questions,
Yes.
discussion?
With, very good thing, would it be, and through all of us,
Mhm.
if we came up with a plan, itemize it, and then bring it to the table? Because if we just say now, $50,000 toward education, there's no plan, there's no itemized, we just come next year and say, hey, here's 50,000. So if we come up with a plan
Yeah.
where we can itemize that 50,000, because all 50,000 won't go, say, towards one thing.
That's right.
You might take 10,000 here,
I thought I was
10,000
clear.
there,
Okay,
10,000
I thought I
there.
was clear on that.
just a moment, he's got the floor.
But whatever we do, the total, we have to make sure. So, I mean, this is just me. to have it itemized. So every year we know where that 50,000, maybe 20 is going here, because the next year, you might not need 20 to go there. You might only need 10. But if we have a plan and itemized, then we would know exactly where that money is going, why it's going there, for the purpose it went there, and who got it, and the whole thing. As opposed to just voting now to give up 50,000 and we have no plan.
Question,
Wait a minute.
Just a moment, please, you got the floor.
Yeah, so even if I was a billionaire and you asked me for 50,000, my first question is going to be for, and if you just say education, for, so I'm going to keep throwing you fours until you actually give me a plan. So that's the only thing I'm saying. I'm not against the 50,000 a year. Just rather have that plan. Thank you, Chair.
Ms. Burton?
Madam Chair, I think it should be, the same regulations that we do for the people who
There you
want
go.
their removal of whatever to bring a building back up to code. I just think it needs to be guidelines for whatever the educational, so if they
There you
come
go.
to us, there needs to
There
be
you go.
a set thing, the same way we do for the
Yeah.
people who wanna be reimbursed.
Yeah.
They have to come to us with whatever those
Proof.
parameters are,
Proof.
and, yes.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, and thank you, Commissioner Edwards. I thought I was very clear. We gave, 5,000 towards the event that just took place, having to do with a large portion of the educational piece, environmental, with, the MBK Summit. And I think I made the statement that there's no way it should take that amount again. This was an annual summit that was taking place, and there was no place else larger to host one. And it came to actually 12,000 because we had free reign of the whole college. And not only that, anybody, I mean, we can put something together in writing, and we're not giving anybody anything because it's not ours. It's the residents, putting it back into the residents, mainly the youth. I thought I made it very clear, but there's no way that we would need $5,000. Well, I guess that would depend on the plan that comes forth through the door to address us and for us to make that decision. We don't need to make it more difficult. People have been all tired of us not doing for them. While the babies, the youth still suffer.
Finished, Commissioner?
I'm done.
Okay, good. You have to explain this clearly,
All right.
what the budget is for and what it can be used for
There you go.
through Act 381
We can put a certain amount.
to spare development
Yeah.
and to be reimbursed our applicants.
No,
No, I'm saying we've got to have money there. So how, $50,000 every year for so many years? You have to figure that out, figure the budget out, see what it's going to do, and see. She's gonna, if you're talking about
Yeah.
the, what you call it, that might
need to buy some trees.
for training and stuff. So
Plant them in Ox Creek.
you have to see, and then your travel's gotta go in there too, if they wanna go to what you call, so $50,000, that might be, and I agree with Commissioner Edwards here, we need a plan. I think we need a plan before we just arbitrarily, but it's up to you to vote it
We're
up.
just putting it in
Or vote
a
it
budget.
down.
We're just making it a line item.
Well, it might need to be more or less.
It can't move until we say so.
See.
We're the
So what
controllers
do
of
you
it.
suggest instead?
What I think I'm hearing from all of you is that there's a motion, the number was picked at $50,000 as a placeholder, as a line item in the budget for educational
Youth
outreach,
education.
youth education, outreach and engagement.
There you go.
Now, what I'm hearing from Mr. Edwards is that's all well and good, but we need to understand, we need to create guidelines
Mhm.
as to what constitutes youth
Yeah.
education, outreach, et cetera, that we can fund. And then Ms. Gorman suggested, I think rightfully so, that then there needs to be an application process.
Absolutely.
Just as you do for every developer, they
Yeah.
come to you with an application, they
Yeah.
express their need, how they're gonna use those funds,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Yeah.
I think it all goes together. Right now, all I've heard is that you want a placeholder. The motion is for a placeholder of $50,000.
What's in,
It doesn't commit you to expending.
no, okay.
any-
Right. But through the chair,
Mhm.
thank you, Mark. That's why we pay you. For listening to us all and being able to put something like that together. But there's no way, if this is for youth education, that we would expect for them to be reimbursed, us for anything. As long as they can come back, that should be one of the things that's on with everything else that you just mentioned, is for them to come back and give an update with show cause of, just like I'm gonna have something greater next month when I come back on the event that was hosted.
You saying you, that's gonna take the travel out of that budget. And we need another
Well,
budget.
would youth would
Just a moment,
chaperone?
Just a moment. That's gonna be just for you, that 50,000. That's what you got. I bet you just wanna say, set the budget aside, but if you put youth in there, that's the only one gonna dip out of that. Then we have to put another budget for travel,
A separate line. item.
separate line.
Oh.
Okay.
Separate line item. And Madam Chair, I would suggest if you decide to move forward with this, that this is something that I can assist you with, but it might be a great idea to form a committee.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
I mean, you've got it on your agenda, we rarely.
There is one.
Only occasionally have we formed one, but if you could pull two or three of these people together
Yeah.
who are
Welcome there.
passionate about it, I'd be happy to work with them.
Yeah, that'd be
There
good.
you go.
Yes.
Sounds like a one.
Yeah, I don't
Who would like to be on the committee?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And,
Anybody else? We got two. You need another, one
You
another?
need another one?
You wanna be
Ms.
on the
Kennard?
committee?
It's good.
Okay.
The wind.
All right.
Now, first we got a motion on the floor, we got a second, and now it's roll call.
Edwards,
Yes.
I'm gonna catch up with my notes. Bear with me. Gorman Burton,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Childs,
Yes.
Hull,
Yes,
motion passed.
okay. Now old business.
Not a check.
Madam Chair and authority members, there was a question of the scholarship fund, an old scholarship fund that we had developed years ago before most of you were ever on this authority. Your predecessors, two of whom are here today, had talked about this very issue back then, and I'm talking 10 or so years back. What can we do for youth? What is eligible, and how could we put a program together? Well, they came up with a scholarship plan, and I provided a copy of what was developed back at that time. That's the last couple of pages of your packet. I talked about a Brownfield scholarship program. I talked about eligibility. Mr. Edwards, a lot of the things that you and Ms. Gorman had talked about, what makes an eligible application? How is it going to be evaluated? What are the criteria? We even put a form together that people can fill out and submit. The notion at that time was to work to try and get youth and teachers engaged in the every other year National Brownfields Forum that many members of this authority have gone to in the past. It's a great venue to learn a lot about this subject in a short period of time. And again, the idea was if we could perhaps send a student or two and or a teacher chaperone with them, that would be great. We never did it. We never received an application. We never really pushed it much beyond creating this. So that's where it is today. I just wanted to get it out there for your information. And perhaps it would be a building point or a starting point for developing this other program that you're talking about.
You need a line.
This month. Ms. Adams?
Thank you. And you hit it right on the head. And my vision with all of this and combining them, if it's at all possible. Well, not combining them, but adding to the scholarship is if we can, and I think that needs to be something too, an age limit or starting age up with the funding. for education, starting with the educational piece with the hopes that in school, they will start to pay closer attention to environmental things to the point to where they graduate and they're taking classes that we could actually honor them upon graduation with a scholarship, a small scholarship, say $500 to help them with college if in fact that's something that they will be studying. I don't know. Oh, yeah.
You finished?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and what we just voted on, and to Commissioner Adams' point, it all intertwines because it's youth. So with that, what we just voted on, if it comes to real, that 50,000, something go into this. And as you said, we can increase that student ratio, maybe 4 students, 2 chaperones, or 2 students, 1 chaperone, however that goes. Over time, it could increase. But we could feed off that 50,000 annually into this.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any other questions?
Mhm.
Okay. Maybe that same committee could go to the school
Yeah.
and find a person and bring that person back up. And
Talk
find
to
out
the
what you- talk to the
superintendent.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
this high school principal, that would be a great help, yeah.
We'll have an opportunity to talk about it at the committee level, but I'm also thinking you have the ability to underwrite a phyto remediation course at IMC that doesn't exist today.
Oh, on the
Now,
curriculum,
yes.
on the curriculum,
Well,
a remediation course.
at one time, they had the agri-science program in the high school. But, so they shut that program down. It's right at the time, close to my retirement time. But I see such a great need for this area to tap into that because the horticultural area is spreading like wildfire.
Yeah.
Not only for healthy food,
So-
that is especially not genetically modified. Just, we need to have a study for cleaning up the soil as well, so as helping people to be healthy, by having the soil clean. So as many areas, it's a large area when it comes to our soil or cleanups or whatever.
We'll put that on the agenda about the mediation.
I've got it.
You got it? Okay. Anything else?
No,
Anything else? Okay,
Back to the bank.
new business, and then now
Oh,
members
that's new
comment,
business?
members comment. You're done?
I'd like to make I don't know if that was the old business or the new business, or we did that are we doing that next month, the bank transfer?
It's the beginning of the year, doing that. Get it out the way.
Madam Chair, I would be happy if it's the consensus of this board. I don't know that you need a motion on it, but if you want me to solicit proposals from banking institutions that have a presence in Benton Harbor, say 2 or 3, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, that'd
And
be
have
fine.
it available for you at the next meeting.
We only have one bank. that has a
Yes, I
presence.
will.
We've got chemical over here, but we've got Fifth Third sitting up here at the,
That's township.
that's township.
Yes, we ain't got but one.
Fifth Third,
Just have one.
not Fifth Third,
Well, it should
chemical.
be pretty easy, because they are a
I mean-
recipient and participant in your Brownfield
Right.
program too.
Exactly, and not only that, they're paying into our city income tax. Everybody that's employed there. I mean,
Would you like me to get a proposal from them?
do we need a motion for that?
No.
Please, through the chair.
Okay. Anything else?
One other
Oh,
question.
members' comments.
Member comment? Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, through the chair, this is, I guess, through Mark, you probably would know this, chair might know this too. The Brownfield, for example, say we got some empty land. If we develop that land, put something on it, can we retain it and use it as, an income to the city? So we could find a developer or a contractor to build what we want, be the landlords of it for the income to the city. We can't do that.
Madam Chair? Yes, you can do all of that. The statute is very clear, and it says those very things in it. You can own the land, you can lease the land, you can be a landlord, you can finance, you can be a lender.
That's it. That's perfect spot. I'm
Yeah,
done, thank you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Is it clearly understood that I asked for more clarity in the $130,000 about the building here on the corner? I just, if that comes up next meeting or this meeting, it doesn't make any difference. But I'd like to understand, I wasn't here at the time that the contract was written up, but I know that a contract is supposed to be followed exactly to what is placed there for, yes.
So you got that for them.
Yes, Madam Chair, I have, as far as Ms. Kennard is concerned, the packet to Ms. Kennard and Cornerstone building status on the next agenda.
All new members, do you need a packet, a new packet about the bylaws and?
I would
Yeah.
love to have one
Yeah.
because I don't have one.
I need
You
one.
need one, all the new members. They
Yes,
should
because
get
I think
it.
we got a book last time that had all the properties in it, but I didn't get anything
But
with
you
the
need, they
bylaws.
need the bylaws. You still have yours, Commissioner?
No, I need an update.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
Things
could.
change.
Yeah, you can
I
use
mean,
one.
yes, the
So
list
just-
with the property?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, and you need that and you need the bylaws.
Oh, I got the
You
bylaw.
got the bylaws.
I didn't get that list.
Okay, so you know the book.
Yep.
At one point, we were gonna take a tour, Madam Chair. What happened to that?
We don't know. What
It's too
happened?
cold.
We was
No, I
supposed
mean,
to.
when we talked about it.
But we can plan.
We was gonna take a tour also, she's right.
You won't all
Also, we was
fit
gonna
my
take a tour,
truck.
and then we was gonna have a workshop that nobody attended.
When?
Nobody came to. We supposed to put a workshop together.
Oh, you can't say
Big
nobody came to.
Yeah.
So we
can
can have
understand.
a
There was only three of us here.
It was only 3 of us, that's right.
Me, Timber Hall, and Mark.
That's right.
What one?
Nobody showed up.
How many
Anyway,
years
Speak
ago
to the
was that?
workshop
Okay,
for just a
workshop.
moment. Mr. Mitchell did reach out to me and asked if I would be available and hold a spot on my calendar to attend the Commissioners Retreat Workshop,
Yes,
which I'm not sure ever happened or not, but.
it's coming up.
Yeah, so it did not happen.
No.
Not yet.
So,
Okay, now, then, are these board members gonna be there? Should be there, or what?
no, but remember, there were 2 elements to the workshop. We wanted to retrain some of the new members here, but we also wanted to make sure the commissioners
Right,
Right,
understood how this program works.
right.
so you're gonna go for the commissioners, but we're talking about the new board members. Well, they need to be trained too and get all the stuff and really give them that creative one and give them the bylaws so they know what they need to do.
Can
Yeah.
can I say one more thing? And I don't even know, because I'm
Just a
on.
moment, you have your comments coming up.
Okay.
Anybody else on this end have any more
I'm
comments?
done, thank you.
Comments?
I'm
You want all
glad to
that?
be on board, and I think I've only been to one meeting, so,
It was.
but I'm feeling my way, and the
Well,
bylaws and all that will definitely help me.
well, that's good. Well, based upon what Commissioner Kennard is saying, if you don't, since you just been the one, don't miss, cause he will be voting you out.
Don't worry, I've been trying to get.
Okay.
She done said if you can't make it, don't get on, and you'll be
All right.
voted out if you miss. Okay,
Okay.
now,
I'm on the board, so my mind is spinning, but I remember the cemetery board said that there is a serious piece of land that can be used to cultivate and generate funds for the city. So I'm also thinking about the trees and stuff like the greenhouse you talked about, that is just a humongous lot that needs to be utilized.
Well, I've already got a fight.
Well, I know you do, I'm just putting it out in the atmosphere,
Yes.
and they said for anybody who wants to do that, right.
any other comments? You got any, Brownfield comments, Commissioner?
She told me.
Yes.
Okay, now, we didn't get through, we didn't get through the report.
I'm about to give one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be brief too. Because the person that was supposed to put me a clip together, I'm gonna have one next month, and I promise you, it will not go beyond 5 minutes. It'll be 5 or under minutes. About the, my brother's keeper event. The city manager was there. It was large. It was huge. I think, did I see you there, Pastor Childs? Commissioner Childs?
Yes,
Yeah.
November 1st.
Right.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Yeah, well,
It was wonderful, but I can tell you that all I want to. It was so enthusiastic, so much energy, and some of the local teachers couldn't believe how well behaved the children were out of the realm of the school. She said, some of the teachers were saying, I don't believe that these are my students. And they need that more often. And hopefully we can connect them with our parks and stuff like that. But anyway,
What was the vision of it? State the mission of Promise Keeper.
the mission of the
My brother's keeper.
My Brother's Keeper is an initiative that Obama, our 44th president, came forth with in the wake of Trayvon Martin's death. And it had nothing to do with anything environmental, it just had something to do with all of our communities as a whole throughout America. And it was for young men of color. But this thing has taken legs and it's gotten girls involved, it's gotten everybody involved. And actually, it has everything to do with us coming together as communities, which remind me of a event that took place last night at the college, a special meeting of St. Joe and St. Joe Charter trying to come together and merge with Benton Harbor. I hear there's talks over in St. Joe in some of the living rooms about, what talk they call it?
Fireside.
No, brave talks. Because we have some racial things going on that has nothing to do with environmental, unless somebody hurt somebody and go put them in some contaminated dirt. But anyway, that was a joke, a bad one too. But anyway, it just has everything to do with educational everything and changing the landscape of policies and procedures that affect our everyday lives, including environmental things. We have a generation that's rising right now of our youth that are demanding something be done with this climate stuff, climate change. And our soil is so contaminated that we have to do something like what Ms. Kennard was talking about and you touch base on, planting those type of implements that can digest that contamination. But it was wonderful. That's all I got to say. But I'm gonna do better next month.
You'll
And
tell us what happened next month.
yes, ma'am. I got a question though that I meant to address, and we can think about it and hopefully put it on the agenda for next month. I'm thinking about we're trying to awaken our youth minds in this community. I wish that somebody had the passion as I do for me when I was coming up, making things readily and available. But I want to see if we can have permission for the youth from several of the different schools to utilize our property over there by the track during the PGA. We need to be raising some funds for our school to save our schools. Nobody else is going to do it. We need to try to calculate on some of these dollars that's coming through here.
You're on the committee, go to school, tell them, bring a proposal.
Oh, yes. Oh, bring it. Oh, there you go. Should we go get some seashells and some paint and a blow dryer on some canvas and make some stuff,
There you go.
some beautiful stuff.
Okay.
I see what chair,
Just a moment, your comment.
Oh, no, I'm through. I'm ready to go.
Have a comment?
I'm ready to keep.
Mark, you have anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you all
See
very
you
much.
next time. Where's Archibald and Abdullah?
They called, they said they weren't able to make it.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what he said.
That's good.
Yes, sir.
Before I put yours on.
Oh, yeah, you can put mine on.
Yeah.
You have on two hats.
Yeah, I just know mine's black, that's all.
Okay, yeah. All right. Very good. You do good work. Committee working with me. We on the committee.
Yeah. Why you do that like this?
Cause I got to deal with him on the cemetery board. Now, I didn't even know he was on this board. I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get off.
Don't do that. People miss it.
Is that big enough for you? That goes with your.
Don't tell me, I'm trying to get you on the board.
Okay, so is that what you guys discussed?
Do some damage.
Yes.
I mean, with this.
All right,
Yes,
yeah.
Coach Ray, yes, he's there.
We live in.
Where's that blue? He hasn't been here since.
Okay.
Y'all just.
Just getting out the meeting at the city hall.
The white hood. Every step of
My wife is.
You got some
Okay,
puppies?
I'm on my feet in a minute.
Got 6 of them, plus my son's dog.
Okay.
And then my dog, so I got 8 dogs.
Oh, you got 8 children and they so wonderful.
You got 8 months?
Yes,
So you passed me.
yeah.
I got 8 dogs in my house.
Oh, 8
I
dogs.
had 11 one time in my kitchen.
I thought he was talking about children.
And
You know what it's like.
yes, I had 11 and I didn't hate, I didn't see them go.
Oh, I remember you had dogs on
Yes, I hated
It was-
to see
it
my
was a
dog
roof
go. I haven't had none lately.
Oh, my
Canard already got
I had
away.
to rush
Running
all
all, I mean, just
Yeah,
like
how things
infants.
going?
You
Oh,
know, yeah,
it's with the same people?
yeah.
You know, the way things
Yeah.
are.
Miss
At
Canard
that
take
age, so.
put stuff on the walls and stuff, and she
So
had to
then,
paint and
so a
stuff.
couple of days, come
I'm like,
back.
Where's
Nah.
she at now?
In Chicago.
Well, see, I can
Reverend Charles might let her back over there, though.
I love that
But
coat
see,
you
if we
got
get
on.
an armory, if we get an armory together, they have.
I love that coat you got on.
Are they trying to do that? I heard we ain't got the money to do that.
Oh, we working on it.
Area, what they call
All right.
these JD.
Yeah, JD was in there.
Yeah.
Ain't none of them living there.
Yeah, all of them.
No,
All of them gone.
All of them gone.
All of them. And Geraldine passed 2 years ago.
And
She was the
Dorothy's
last one.
gone. Is Dorothy still living there?
No, she had a stroke.
Dorothy died?
Oh, yeah, she ended up in a coma for about
Come on,
6,
so I can
7
help you
years.
down these steps. You gonna hurt, but you gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Did you get to it?
I'm trying to wait to help you.
But all those, all of
Did I
them
get
gone.
everything?
though.
Yes, you did. I'll double
This
check.
was
Yeah,
my
okay.
signature.
Where's my
This is.
cane?
Cane was over there.
Jerry?
Jerry probably done took it to
Oh,
the
last
away.
meeting.
What?
You were.
Okay. You got
Oh,
it?
the second signature.
Oh, you would do that one.
I think I'm gonna tell you, I'm ready.
Approved today.
Okay.
Oh, I gotta sign too?
No, sir.
Now, do we have a third person on that?
We do. It's, Mr. Abdullah.
Oh,
Yeah, but
yeah.
let's just wait until she's on, on the Fifth Third now.
Correct.
So now we have to change all that once we decide.
Once you go to a new bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we decide to go.
Sure, got it. Thank you, Mr.
And,
Nard. Appreciate it.
check and see what's the best way to go on that too. Okay,
Okay.
not just because they in the city of
Like we
Benton.
had 4 or 5 in the city banks. I know we ain't got but one, we don't even have any more in the city,
Yeah, but,
except for alternative.
yeah, but just because it's been harbor, it might, it's still been happening, we might be getting the best deal.
Of course.
Yeah, we might.
But Linda Allen really works with the black families. That's why I like her. She works with helping them get their credit, helping them get houses. They go through a housing program. Yes, she works with all of that,
That's good.
and she wanna help, so we need.
Well,
to-
that's
Give
good,
them a
Yeah.
job all
Yeah.
summer, and then in the winter, you can go there, go to coffee.
but we don't want that,
We don't wanna go back.
Well, that's what
No,
I'm
we
saying.
don't. Long we can move forward, that's great.
Right.
Especially with our own.
Right. Well, we didn't botched it up with this
So,
trash
but the
though.
only thing to get that done, we
With
would
our
have to
own.
find out.
You have to-
contractors and that.
You have to fork out the money to build it, or you have to, what you could do is, you
Get
could
in
be
our
a
own.
lender. You can find somebody else who wants to do it.
Old
You could be their
business that they
finance.
slapped the name on.
Oh, that's the name of it.
And now there is no repercussions gonna happen because they didn't even have any paperwork straight.
All kinds of things you
The
can
city
do.
got to do it.
No, we don't, but I'm just
The
saying,
city got to
sometimes
do it.
helping our
I
own.
like the notion of making money.
Yeah.
You know, putting your money to work. Doesn't do any good sitting in the bank like that.
No, and just to make it a place where you can do, all right, we can have a park.
Yeah.
We got 13 of them.
We got a bunch of those.
Yeah, 13 of them.
It's a good idea.
So I'm looking, I'm going to Chicago on the 13th, but I have to use this Greyhound bus ticket or I lose my money. So I'm gonna go to Chicago, I'm gonna look into that. And, I know one of my friends has a business there with that. A business.
Well, that's what they do. And if you bought anything with anything with it, I guarantee you. Well, then we allow it. But she ain't gonna bring. Well, and she allowed it. Well, I'm gonna ask what happened. I appreciate it, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, thank you.
There's something, just because people have, you gotta make sure we got. That's why we gotta bring some to the table. If you send that money without seeing what it's going for, I would put it in the hands of maybe you should get for the purpose of which we knew we had to go. Just to get a check to say, I guarantee you she will produce her receipt. We're not here to get you. Well, y'all, I will say, well, Greg,